The relevancy of churches in South Africa. Many people today are questioning the relevancy of the churches in South Africa, in the South African society, with regard to the persisting social divide and other societal ills. Before I give my opinion on this extremely controversial subject, I would first like to clarify the difference between the church where Jesus Christ is the primary reason for its existence and his teaching are the only priority above all else, and other churches where the men of God only use the name of Jesus Christ to make ends meet. Having said the above, my focal point is no longer whether the churches in South Africa are relevant or not. My question is, are all the churches in South Africa mandated by God? My answer is categorically no. In fact, it's because of the presence of men's agenda churches that the true churches have been affected. But personally, I would like to say that it is precisely because many churches today are not bringing light to the people that those who do have light shine from a mile away. So to all the good pastors in South Africa, I say, please continue to do your good works. P.S. I also want to use this opportunity to congratulate a man who advocated for a multiracial congregation in his church when it wasn't considered even as a bad dream. And as a consequence, he lost all support of the white members who were his bigger donors because they left his church. But I can confidently say today that both the birth and the rise of multiracial churches in South Africa began with him, even though most of those pastors who later copied his style do not always attribute their success to him. Instead, some have even used the overly publicized misfortune at certain stage of his life to dress him down, hoping that his demise will be their rise. Nevertheless, Pastor McCauley has maintained his decision for a multiracial church throughout the era of apartheid and beyond until the fall of a new horizon. Sir, on behalf of the many whose hand you've held on tight during the time of segregation, and those like me whose hope you have raised in moments of despair, I want to say thank you. A big reward awaits you in eternity. This is my last book, titled The Landmines of the Apartheid Era, After Effect and Remedy. A week ago, I asked my younger brother in South Africa to go and offer this book to Pastor Joshua McCauley. And 2 weeks ago, and he did. I was just prompted to send him this book. And my first book as well, which was on his way, he was ordered to deliver to Pastor Joshua McCauley. I wanted Pastor Josh to read that passage to Pastor Ray. So I sent this book 2.5 weeks ago to Pastor Joshua McCauley, and to read that passage that I dedicated to his father. Now, you must understand my shock when I found out that he passed away a week ago, a few days ago, when I received the message. It was a shock for me because I thought he would live to actually read at least the few passages that I have in my book that were dedicated to him. My name is Pascal Mukadi. I am recording this from Moscow. I do some video on YouTube, but today I just wanted to take a few time to dedicate this message to Pastor Josh and his father. Because when we contain some truth and we keep silent, we actually do not contribute to the growth, or we do not contribute to the legacy of those whose hard work have actually contributed to our growth. So I didn't know how to mourn Pastor Ray being far away in Moscow, where I live in the past 2 years. But today I was just inspired to make this video to really join the millions of people around the world that are actually mourning Pastor Ray McCauley. I have come across Pastor Ray McCauley on TV, like many of you in South Africa. And a few years ago, I had a privilege to meet his son. How I met his son was very funny. I was actually in business in South Africa. I was doing trade commodities, and one day I met a gentleman who told me that he was going to introduce me to a son of a very prominent businessman, a prominent man in South Africa, and he wanted us to do business, and he thought that gentleman was going to open doors for us. So you must guess it was a surprise for me when I was in my office, and the gentleman who came to introduce me to the son of a prominent man, leader in South Africa, was Pastor Joshua. I'm talking about early 2000, 2001, around there, maybe 2003. And Pastor Joshua walked in my office. He could have been around 18, 17. He was quite young, with the man that was trying to introduce us, because he thought we could do business with him together and get to know many people. When they walked in my office, I saw him, I recognized him quickly. I told him, I said, are you a son of Pastor Ray McCauley? He says, yes, it's my dad. And the gentleman who brought him in my office actually received a call, so he walked out on the phone to talk. I don't know until today what took me. As the guy walked out, I was there now with Pastor Joshua, who was just a young kid that time. We were the two of us in the office. And I told him, I look at him, I said, listen, I do not really believe that you can contribute in this business that the gentleman is talking about. I do not believe that you understand the business world out there. I wouldn't be part of this arrangement, because I really believe that they just want to use your name to leverage it to do business. I do not feel comfortable about that, because it's not the way I operate. And I said that to him. I said, please don't be used. If anything, go and support your father, because most of us, that's where we're going to end up going, to church. That's what I said to him in 2002, 2003. And he looked at me, he was very confused. The gentleman who brought him in the office, who brought him to me after finishing his call, he walked in the office, and he found the atmosphere changed already. And we discussed a little bit, and he was like, yeah, well, this is Joshua, his father is a pastor, whatever. He was talking, he didn't know we had a conversation. Pastor Joshua then, he was not a pastor, as I said. He was a little bit confused, because he knew what I told him, and this guy came in, and he was trying to introduce us, and then he mentioned that there is also a millionaire, the guy who owns jet and sport cars, who's in pharmaceutical, that he would like to introduce us, and we will do something together, create a consortium. And it just happened that the guy was actually talking about, the millionaire, the guy that owned jet, that they wanted to introduce me together, was actually my neighbor. So as they mentioned his name, I pick up my phone, I called him, I don't want to say his name, but his name is Gavin. I'm not going to give the surname. So I called him, I'm like, hey, Gavin, do you actually know so-and-so? He's like, come on, Pascal. In fact, he swear, I won't say what he said. He really swear. He's like, kick them out of your office. What are they doing there? Pastor Josh was so shocked that I knew the guy they were trying to introduce me to. He was my neighbor. And then after that demonstration, I think what I told him, he took it seriously. Lo and below, few years later, I was in the church. I was sitting at the back in church on the last row in the evening service. When the service ended, Pastor Joshua was going up to the back, And then he just happened to recognize me sitting on a pulpit. So he ran to me, he greeted me. He's like, hey, welcome here. How are you? We chatted a little bit. And he's like, yes, next time you come and sit with me in front. We chatted. And I was like, I said, thank you so much for your invite, but I really want to keep a little bit private. It's my first days in church. I really don't want to be in any commotion. I really want to sit at the back and learn. So allow me really my privacy, but I appreciate. Thank you so much. And then from there, I've been going to church. I've been going to church for almost a year. And one day I went to church. It was 24th of December 2006. I remember very well. It was a 12 o'clock service. And there was a pastor called Dr. Malope was preaching. I gave my life to Jesus Christ after following Pastor Ray almost for 2 years. But what fascinated me when I joined the church, before I knew anybody, before I knew anything in the Bible, was just the things or the way Pastor Ray was talking about God. It was a shock for me. I never thought when you talk about God, it would be funny. You know, Pastor Ray McCauley used to preach about he had a style when he talked about Jesus. You will actually feel he's almost joking, because there was nothing scary about it. There was not anything about a God waiting for you in a corner. He never pointed to people as sinners. He always says, you know, no perfect people allowed in his church. He talked about a story, and I used to laugh, me and my brother Moose, we used to laugh about this story every time, about this guy who was very high. He comes home, he look for something, he goes, he sell it, he smoke weeds, and then he sleeps, and then the next day he find something else, he goes sells, and then one day he come, he look at the fridge, and then he took everything, he goes sells, and then another day come, the fridge was no longer there. He was like, where is the fridge? He forgot he sold it. You know, it was funny, and he talked about Jesus in a way that he really portrayed God the way a father should have been, a loving father should have been with his kids. And first time I walked in church, you know, I always was shocked to see the difference between the people that I met in the parking lot, you know, the people I met welcoming in church, and him, the style was so different. I remember when I gave my life to Christ, a few months later, I had a chance to meet Pastor Ray. We had it for lunch. I think it was Easter weekend. We went for lunch at Lekota in Mandela Square. I was invited by Josh because he knew me there already by then. So I told him about the story, what I experienced the day I gave my life to Christ. You know, they call you at the back and they minister to you again. And this guy was telling me his story, and they're talking about his wife and whatever, what happened to him. And he's like, okay, when I paraphrase, he says, I tell God, I don't care what wife you give me, even if she doesn't even have legs, hand, I will marry her. I was so freaked out. I was so scared. So I was telling Pastor George, I was like, Pastor Ray McCauley, when we were having lunch, I'm like, really, this is the first experience I received when I gave my life to Christ. I said, please, the guys at the back there, they need to be really recycled. Because what they told me this first day I gave my life to Christ was very scary. It's like he told you to believe God for a woman without hand and legs. I'm like, yeah, that's what he was telling me. I'm like, I was rejecting everything he was saying. Pastor Ray says, yeah, I would have rejected it too. You know, so we were laughing, and then I knew there was always there was a big discrepancy between him and the people that I met in church. And once I knew his heart, that he was in the right place, he was a very loving man, a great father. I just embraced Jesus Christ, and I was in church. You could not miss me. You know, I was there. You know, I was there, and then I grew in the word under the teaching of Pastor Ray McCauley. And I remember the day he ordained his son to become a pastor for the evening services. And that night I dreamed Joshua was leaving the church. I was in a foyer with his wife. We were waiting for him somehow. Then I heard him saying goodbye. beyond the door. And I was like, okay, he's saying goodbye. So I called the waiter in the dream. I said, bring me the bill. Then his wife is like, no, don't pay anything. The whole thing is together. I'm like, what thing is together? He says, the whole thing is together. Then I sneak my eye and see the room where Pastor Joshua was saying goodbye. It was like a farewell party. Then I discovered that there were plenty of people who were saying goodbye too. So he walked back in the foyer where I was with his wife waiting. He took a Bible. I remember well, it was a brown cover. He took it. He says, he kissed his wife, and then he says, Pascal, let's go. And then when we left, I got up. It was Sunday morning. And then my brother came to fetch me. We were going to church. I shared the story with my brother. When we go to church, we were shocked. Pastor Ray McCauley says, we have very good news today. And we have what you call an announcement to make. Today we are going to baptize Pastor Josh and Pastor Tara McCauley become pastor. We're going to ordain them today. And they did the whole ceremony, and me and my brother were shocked because I was sharing the dream with my brother in the car, but when we go to church, he was ordained. So after the whole service, I went to greet him at the back, and I went to congratulate him. And then I just happened to share the little dream I had with him. I'm like, oh yeah, I dream about you living somewhere, saying goodbye. And it was so funny because, it was intense. There were many people. We brush it out, we chat a little bit. I got works, blah, blah, blah. So I left. 6 months later, he called me. He says, Pascal, I need to see you. So we met in Hyde Park in a bookstore. He says, you know what? For the past year, I've been running the evening service. We have good salary, me and my wife, and the service is growing and everything. I'm like, yeah, I can attest because I come as well. So he says, but the dream we had is coming to pass. For a few months, the Lord has been asking me and my wife to leave the church. So we know it's going to create a lot of noise in the media, and people are going to say anything they want to say. But I just wanted to confide in few friends I have that this is a testimony, actually a revelation from God. And he says to me, we spoke to many pastors who mentor us, Joseph Prince. We spoke to many people abroad, and we've been advised to follow the word of God. So we're going to leave church. We're going to open another church, and he already had a location in mind and everything. It was amazing. We spoke in Hyde Park. Pastor Allen was there as well. He says, I'm just confiding with too few people, friends who know me, and that's what I'm doing. So that when the news break out, people at least who know me will spread the truth. Yes, about spreading the truth. This is the reason why I'm making this video, because I know so much about Pastor Joshua McCauley and his father through Pastor Joshua McCauley, that I cannot just keep quiet on a day like this when his father passed away. Beside meeting Pastor Josh in my office that day, through the years, I had a program of taking the preaching of Pastor Ray McCauley. I wanted to translate them in French and also go and stream the same messages in DRC. And I was granted permission to do that. And in one occasion, I flew with Pastor Josh to DRC. We had a lot of evangelization done. We visited a lot of churches. We meet governor of Lubumbashi. We did bring a gift to the street kid, the homeless in Congo. And it was just a moment I'll never forget. And that was the time when Pastor Ray and the whole family were going through a lot of problems. And for me to be with Pastor Josh in Congo alone, he was young, I was young. In 2000, I think it was in 2008, it was a moment that I cherish forever. We did a lot of exchange. We did a lot of talking. This is how I came to know Pastor Ray, through the month of the sun, And when we returned, we developed our friendship. Pastor Josh fit in every special time in my life, every special one. I mean, the loss of my son is the one who officiated the service when I lost my son. In fact, my son passed away on the eve of redemption, first ever service. My son passed away. So Pastor Josh came on Saturday to support me on the passing of my son, which was an accident. It was an instant accident. He was the first person to come into my house. He called a lawyer because it was an accident, and he knew police would come, and there was an investigation. So he called a lawyer. He made sure that even when I was booked in a police station, that I was never alone. Pastor Allen came. I was covered 24 hours, and until I received bail, I will never forget that. When I got married, he's the one who officiated our wedding, and these are points of contact that I've had with him throughout the life. But when redemption started, many people don't know, because redemption started after a revelation God gave him. So after people try to speculate, trying to maybe spread other news, maybe they don't get along, that's why he left the church. It was too late, because the people that meant a lot to Pastor Josh, they were already aware of the transformation. I was there as well when Pastor Josh, Pastor McCauley came to pray for the opening of the church to dedicate the church. I mean, I was shocked to see a father coming to bless a church of his son, who was yesterday a pastor in his own church, but left to open a church just across the city. And the father came to bless his church, to bless it so that his son can prosper. And some of the members that were in Rhema left, joined Joshua, including me, because I had a dream I saw when he left. So that was the fair way he was doing at Rhema. So I was at least led by God that the day will come when he's going to leave the church. So me too, I was there. But to see the father praying for his son, not because his son is opening another business. No, his son is doing what he does in the same city, just few meters from each other, few minutes. And he was there to bless his son. And redemption is what is it today, because Pastor Ray McCauley surpassed himself to bless this church of his son without seeing him as a competition. How many of us will do that? You know, and Pastor Ray have blessed, he visited a few times redemption. He really have blessed it throughout until it has become a recognized church that really impacting many people around the world. I have lived long enough to see the day the church was dedicated. Now Rhema was giving now leadership to Pastor Joshua McCauley. I was there, I was traveling, I was in town, and I was held from returning home. You know, I was just visiting, and I didn't feel like going out and meeting people, but I was just held. Then one morning, one Sunday, I received an email from church saying that they're gonna inaugurate, they're gonna ordain Pastor Josh and Tara to become the pastor, the leader, pastor leaders, senior pastor of Rhema. I was in town. I was like, wow. I've tried to hide, but that day I had to go to church to really participate, because I have really had revelation over that moment, which I shared with Pastor Joshua before. I saw that day in a dream. When Pastor Josh left Rhema, it's not a secret that he was not getting along with his mom, stepmom Zelda. There were a lot of friction between the two. I had a dream. I was actually in this dream where I saw Zelda being chased by bad guys. They were chasing her. They were chasing her. They had knives. They had forks. They were really bad guys. And she was running to this house. I could see the light in this house from afar. But when I ran, I get closer, I saw through the windows in the light, I saw Pastor Josh emptying the boxes. Like, someone who comes from a trip, or someone who's packing the old things to put the new ones. He was packing. So I saw Zelda coming and tried to go inside our house. But me knowing in the flesh they were not getting along, I got scared. So I started screaming at Zelda, don't go in, don't go in. She could not hear me, but these bad people were running after her. She walked in, And then she opened the door. These people followed her. From outside, I could see inside in the light. And Pastor Josh was unpacking these things. As these people are coming, trying to hurt Zelda, Pastor Josh just lifted up. He didn't see the people. I could see them, but he could not see them. When he lifted up his face, he saw Zelda. He says, "Hi, Mom." Those people that were attacking Zelda, they all vanished. Shh. Like forms, they just vanished. I was outside. I was so shocked. And I'm like, he called them Mom. He called them Mom. I got up the next morning, I went to church. I could not contain myself. So I set up and I asked for an appointment to sit with Pastor Josh and I share my dream with him. That was the time when I thought I lost my friendship with him, because he looked at me. It was after I have given him few revelation already to that time. You know, one of them was the church. One day I told him there were vision. We had a vision Tuesday to do the redemption building program. God told me the church for him is not going to be big in size in bricks. He already have the biggest church. I said, Lord, how we having redemption underground? You say we have a big church. The church is actually a nightclub. And God says, no, his influence is putting people who could not cross path. He puts Joseph Prince, Joe Olstein, Rema. He says that is the size. He's a middleman. Through that, he has created the biggest church ever. And that one in bricks is not going to be him building it. You people sitting in a pulpit will build it for him. So I shared that dream with him already. He was not very, pleased with my dream, because he was waking to a program, and then I come to tell him that. And that day, when I came to give him the other dream as well, that is going to call Zelda Mom. I mean, you must understand. We had a very cold lunch. I left. So can you imagine the day when I was in Rema? The day they ordained him. This is the photo you see on my video, the first page. That day I was in town, and when I received the mail, I went to church. I sat on the back. I didn't want to be known or seen by anybody, because I was in town just for a few days. And I didn't want to see Pastor Josh. I never called him. So I didn't want him to see me. So the service finished. I was about to run, and I felt like somebody just hold me, put me in front. I start walking to the front. Pastor Josh goes to the back, and I met Pastor, I think when, he went to call him, and Pastor Josh came and took my hand. He started running with him. He took me to his dad, and he's like, yeah, this is him. So I'm there perplexed. I'm looking. I'm like, this is him. About what? He says, this is the guy. He told me and my wife a few years ago, I'm going to call Zelda my mom. I thought he was crazy when he told me that. I was so pissed when he told me that. He was telling his father, there were many people in the room, and his father was like, Zelda was like, it's him. So we're like, oh, wow. It came to pass, and that was the celebration. So many moments we've shared together. Besides going to DRC together, we've been friends. He confided in me so many things in difficult time. Many times when he needed some advice, I did the same as well, confided a lot to him. And I still do. In my book, My Message for Sale, I've also dedicated a chapter just about redemption and Rema and Pastor Joshua McCauley. In fact, my book was going for printing. I stopped the printing because I wanted to insert the photos we took on a day Pastor Joshua was ordained to become a pastor, because these were like revelation that came to pass. And I told my publisher, say, no, we need to add this, because they were not, these are revelation that came to pass. So all the delays of printing didn't matter, because I wanted to insert these photos that we took together in this book. And when I wrote my second book, I also dedicated to Pastor Ray, that page that I read at the beginning, because my idea was that Pastor Josh was going to read it to him somehow, but he passed away. I don't think Pastor Josh had a chance to read that to his father. But I'm so glad that I have, in real time, dedicated some of my time to talk about his father when he was alive, because I really believe in Pastor Ray McCauley. I believe really that Pastor Ray McCauley has impacted people today that are beyond, this is the page, this is the pages, this is the pages. I believe that Pastor Ray McCauley have impacted people. That today I'm in Russia, in Moscow. I did not mourn Pastor. I'm not mourning him with despair, with any frustration. First day I was very sad. Second day I was even more sad. Every time I watch Pastor Josh on TV, online, he's preaching or comforting other people, I'm not surprised, because this is what he has been and is being trained for. And Pastor Josh is the one also officiated my son's funeral when my son passed away. It was an accident. He came. He had a church he had a service to start the next day, but he nevertheless came, and then took care of me. And the next day he went to church and helped the thousands of people that he needed to preach to. So I know that all that is happening to him are things that he's been equipped for. So I really believe that I needed to just also make this message to share with whoever is going to watch it. Sorry, my son have just got up, And I believe that people need to know what really Pastor Josh and his father are beyond just the faces they see on TV. I believe beside that, they are really close people. These are father and son a relationship that many people who are closer to them know are genuine. And Pastor Josh, I've seen him around his father. We've had lunch together. I've seen him talking to him over the phone when we're in DRC, encouraging each other. I really believe that Pastor Josh, he may need a tap on the back, I don't think he need that much really, because he has been equipped, trained for such a time as this. He went out when God called him. He came back when God called him back. He's been running two churches, one God, one Spirit, one Father. I do not know any story like this. Many of you maybe do. I do not know. I really believe that people that are in Rhema or in the body of Christ, the model we've seen growing between Pastor Ray and his son, and the difficulty they've been exposed to publicly. There's no secret, Pastor Ray have gone through a few turbulences in his life, and to see the hand of the legacy, his legacy, where his son is actually the captain of the bigger boat, and to be passing the keys in harmony to be where they are today. I do not know anyone in my life who have finished so strong, preaching 2 weeks before passing away. I've never heard, I've never seen. I heard, but this one I have experienced. So this is me probably venting as my way of mourning, and I just share my story. I hope it encourages somebody. If this reaches Pastor Josh, I just want you to know that I carry you here, me and my wife. You have space in our heart, and we really with you in prayer in this difficult time. Pastor Tara, we carry you in our heart in this difficult time, but there are many people who may doubt of your strength. I'm not one of them, because I've seen you through difficult time and how you managed through. This through shall pass, and I believe it shall pass, and leaving you stronger than ever. I do not think after this there is anything really you won't be prepared for. So stay strong, continue to do the good work, and knowing that Pastor Ray, just like you, have impacted a lot of people. You have impacted people, tags, nightclubs, visitors like us to become the church visitors. I've watched Pastor Ray coming from nightclubs, when I can't sleep around 3 o'clock. That's how I've come to know Pastor Ray, to actually sit in the pulpit, and then to sit in the pews, to have lunch with him, to write about him. this is much impact that you have done to the world. And our children will be affected by the same legacy because one man stood when it was not popular. So kudos to Pastor Josh. Keep standing and do as you do, even if it's hurt. Continue to preach, even if you have to cry. And so many of us are there in prayer supporting you. I really, really pray that you come out of this strong. God bless you. And to the rest of the viewers, I just want you to know these were stories. Most of them are in my book. And if those who contain certain of a secret about a legacy of somebody, if they keep quiet, is not fair. I wouldn't keep quiet about this. That's why I had to let it out. So I hope it bless somebody. God bless you.